lots of growth coming. See, it even has cones on it, and the style is nice. And Paul tells me that you've grown it for the last 25 years yourself.
Yes.
From a very thin tree. Was it only about this thick?
It was, yeah, even thinner.
Thinner than that.
Yes.
So it must have been maybe even 4 years old at the time. And it shows what you can achieve when you have the patience to grow it.
Is that a normal slanted growth on, or did you wire it then to begin with?
I wired it like that, yes.
It was, you've given that wired shape,
Yes.
yeah, okay. Now, it is a very, very healthy tree. If I can criticize and be frank,
Yeah,
what some of the defects of this tree are. This tree, to me, if I turn it around, can someone tell me what you notice about this tree?
It's very one-sided.
One-sided, absolutely right. It's one-sided. And I have a feeling, do you keep it against a fence?
I did, I'm afraid, yes.
So keeping it against a fence doesn't help. You've got to turn it around so it gets light from every side. So it's one-sided. So that is one fault of this tree. So this is very heavy on this side. And for the size of the tree, the branches are a bit too big, too large. So the scale of the tree has somehow been lost. But don't worry, all is not lost. All bonsai, like us human beings, have a front and a back. And the front of a tree or front of a bonsai is the side where you can see the trunk and the branches to act as the backdrop are usually at the back. So, although this is a one-sided tree, we could turn this into an advantage. We could make this the front. Very few people think of keeping the bare side as the front. If you go to a lot of bonsai shows, they invariably look at the bushy side. But if you look at it from this side and look at it again from this side, don't you see much more line and beauty from this side rather than from the other side?
Yes.
So you've done it a favor inadvertently, without knowing. You've created the front by having it bare. So we won't feel so guilty removing some of the back branches. So this tree has become a bit top heavy and it's a bit too much at the back. So we can do something a bit radical and remove some of the branches. Pruning the bonsai is not just radical surgery, it is really what we call cosmetic surgery. Okay, so if we are going to keep this as the back, this is the front and that is the back, we can probably remove some of these branches. So the very long ones I can very easily take away.
I'll give you permission.
Yes, see, just removing those two branches has made a bit of a difference. You can use these for Japanese flower arranging, so don't worry. We can remove some more. In bonsai they say, if you're afraid to prune, afraid to cut, then you won't make much progress in bonsai. You've got to be bold to cut. It's like giving it a haircut, and I can wire this down a little bit. Can you see it looks better like this? And this I will wire down like this. So these are going to be simply the back branches which will act as the foil for the front. Now if I analyze this branch here, this is too close to that branch, so I can probably safely remove that one and turn this branch perhaps this way, like that. In fact, I can shorten it a little bit. Don't worry. Plants, no, you can't stick them back, but it will grow again. It will grow again. Larches are very tough trees. They will grow again. That is a fault, but because it's at the back, I'm not that worried. This is sprouting up a little bit, so I can probably cut that. The rest is fine. So with one piece of wire, Paul tells me that you've recently repotted it, so that's fine, that's fine. You've done it at the right time of the year. I'm now just going to wire these two branches, and that will be the end of the work. Those of you who've done wiring will know that you've always got to match the grade of wire to the thickness or the flexibility of the branch or the trunk that you're going to wire. So I hope this will do it, but if it won't do it in one, I will have to double the wire. No matter. I think you've wired this tree before. You remove the wire, that's fine. For those of you who have not done much wiring before, the fundamental principle of wiring when you come to wiring branches is that you always wire two branches with one piece of wire. The reason being, if you use two branches together, one branch acts as the anchor for the other branch. If you didn't do that, you would have to anchor the wire around the trunk, and if you put all the wire ends around the trunk will soon become very untidy. So that's the main reason why we use this two-branch principle. We call it the two-branch principle, where we use one piece of wire to do two branches. So one branch acts as the anchor for the other one, and you keep it really tight. It's no good keeping the wire loose. If the wire is loose, it won't do the job. See if it will hold it. It is holding it. Also, there's another way of guying the wire down. You can tie a piece of wire and just tie it to the pot or to the root, and that will hold it. So if you don't want to use wire, you can do that, but wire is more effective. So I find that this grade of wire does the job. So we won't have to put a double on it. So look at it, it's now much nicer. The overall design of most bonsai is conical shape, so as long as you grow it in a conical shape, it's fine, and that's going to be a nice leader there. And I can just trim some of these so that that doesn't become the leader. And that's all I would do to it. So just by removing a few of the back branches and wiring that, I've changed the shape of the tree, and this is now your front. This is the back. Another little design feature you could introduce. I noticed that you put a little bit of gin here. That's very nice. But you can, if you wish, there is some distress. I think you may have tried to do some wiring and split this trunk. But you can take away the bark from the trunk here and introduce what they call a shari. That means driftwood along the front. So that's something to consider. It'll make it look even older. So this is a very good example. I would say next time when you come to repotting it, you may need to turn the pot just slightly, about 3 degrees or so, because this is the true front now, like this. If you use this, you see this slanting that way, so the front is really like this. But don't bother to take it out, just do it next year. So this has changed your tree. It will go on for another many years. They're very long-lived trees. So well done, this is a beautiful larch.
Thank you.